Today we're chatting about YouTube. For that, of course, I brought along Zac Mason. He's been helping me. We've taken this little channel that I had with very few subscribers that I'd been working on for many years with no success whatsoever to being something actually quite useful. Lately, it's actually been creating opportunities for me within the industry. There's still occasionally a negative comment, that sort of thing that creators will expect. So I want to cover all of these things in today's episode. James Schramko here. Welcome back to my podcast. This is episode 1131. Today we're chatting about YouTube. For that, of course, I brought along Zac Mason, my friend over there. He's running a business called VidSurface.com. And he's been helping me with my own YouTube channel, particularly with my surf brand, which is Blink Surf. You can check it out on YouTube if you're a surfer. But if you're not a surfer, don't worry about it. Zac, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me back on.
So you're a bit of a video nerd, I suppose. Is that offensive or should I say enthusiast?
Prefer dork or geek, maybe.
Fair enough. Okay, so since we've been talking about videos, we've been running lots of experiments. We have this sort of back and forth. You tell me things, I do things, we get results, I chat about stuff. If I'm not sure, I check in with you. Through that process, we've taken this little channel that I had with very few subscribers that I'd been working on for many years with no success whatsoever to being something actually quite useful. It's got a growing organic subscriber base. It does actually earn ad revenue. And more importantly, lately, it's actually been creating opportunities for me within the industry, which is quite heartwarming. And even I notice when I comment on other creators' accounts, they actually know the channel. And the funny thing is, occasionally when I go for a surf, I get recognized, like old mate in the surf's like, I love your surf channel. I like your reviews. And I'm like, what do you like about them? They like, I like that you're so honest. You just tell it like it is. And that's really nice. And it's not all like amazing. There's still occasionally a negative comment, that sort of thing that creators will expect. So I want to cover all of these things in today's episode. And I also want to find out how your progression's been going, Zac. Of course, there's a heavy weight of expectation on your shoulders that if you're supposedly good at wrangling the YouTube algorithm, that your own channel should be progressing and improving too. So let's just get that out of the way first. Is your own channel, which is in the fitness and weight loss industry, going well?
Yeah, well, I believe so. And that's based on the data I'm looking at. So the last 28 days, I think I've got 220 or 30,000 views across a bunch of different videos. My best video recently, as of this morning, is sitting at about 260,000 views. And that's only with 7,000 subscribers. So the ratio from subs to views is quite massive, and that's not a one-hit wonder, because 2 years ago I had a video at 160,000, another one 140, 50,000, then now 260,000. So I guess I've debunked the whole idea that you need to have a lot of subscribers to get a lot of views. And what it really comes back to is the video. And that's what's been doing well, is just focusing on one video at a time. That's been doing well.
Okay, there's already enough there for us to have a chat about. The first thing is the way that you're measuring it. So if we had a YouTube channel, is it a fair measurement to have a look at how many subscribers have we got and how many views we're getting on a video that we publish? Is that a good metric to know?
I mean, yes. I mean, you don't have to get obsessed over it, but I think it's a good sign that your videos are performing well. If you're getting more views than subscribers, that's a good sign. And it's also a way to identify trends. Contrary to that, there's a lot of channels with 3 million, 4 million, 7 million subscribers who only get 20,000 views. So my question is, what happened to the other 6,980,000 subscribers that didn't watch that video? There's something weird going on there. So you can kind of use it as a clue to find trends on your own channel and also other channels that are doing well.
Would it be an indicator that they've just purchased followers?
Maybe, but then I'd be speculating, and it's like, why even waste your time?
And is it also possible they're just creating content that YouTube doesn't think is that useful?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yes. But when you say like YouTube doesn't think is useful, instantly my brain goes to, well, that's because people don't want to watch it. because YouTube's only going to show a video that people are giving signs that it's watchable and they've found an audience. And you can see it in your analytics. The impressions chart will change, and like it'll spike and then it'll plateau, and you might think, oh, the video is dead. And then 2 days later, it finds another pocket of an audience, and then the views spike and then it plateaus. So the more you post, the more you start to learn about what YouTube's really doing. And you can kind of have a sense that a video is going to do well in the first 24 hours because you can see what the impressions is doing, and it's like seeking the audience. And you can also get a sense if it's not going to do well because it will just cap out, and then well, no one's interested in this topic, or they're not interested in the title, or they're not interested in the thumbnail, or the combination of all that. So it's typically what happens.
So when I look into my dashboard, it shows me that the vast amount of traffic's coming from YouTube, showing it on the homepage or up next, that sort of stuff. And clearly I'm getting a lot more views than the number of subscribers I have. I've got less subscribers than you. Some of my videos are cracking 50,000 views. So it also shows what percentage of subscribers are seeing those videos or not. And there is a setting, I think, where you can tell it not to show your video to your subscribers. Do you recommend that on or off?
I think you've got to test it, because if you have a very specific subscriber base and a very like micro niche, and you're making very specific videos, and you probably want the same people to watch it. But if you're going for growth and bigger views, like personally, I've been turning it off, and I've found that that's helped. However, if you tick it and you forget to turn it off, and the video is shown to your subscribers, it just means it's going to show you subscribers first. And if it's good, then it'll show it to a wider audience. So I think it's not going to make or break a video, but it might just change how it starts off. So I typically turn it off, but if I was going to make a more micro niche video, I might turn it on so that the existing people can see it. But I would only do that if I really knew that a big portion of my subscribers were heavily interested in a topic. Otherwise, if I want to show it to them and only 5% of the subscribers watch it, it was kind of pointless anyway. So you got to also look at how many subscribers are watching all of your videos to see if that's worth doing.
So while we're on the topic of, goals, because this is probably most people's goal with YouTube, I expect, is to get a lot of views, which I think you can actually make videos that get lots of views, but they would have low commercial intent or translate into very few buyers unless your model is advertising. Now, a lot of people watching this podcast would probably have a product or service to sell. So for my business channel, the goal of my content on YouTube is not to be famous. I don't need 5 million views on my video. It's that someone watches a video and then becomes a member of my mentorship, my connect or my mentor level. That would be a great outcome. I'm not going to get wealthy from the very limited ad revenue that YouTube will pay me for the 500 or 800 views that I'll probably get on the average podcast. Now, because we publish every week and because I get at least hundreds of views on every piece of content, it could be so disheartening for people to think, gosh, there's only a few hundred people watching my video. But I'm here to say that if you have a proper back end or something that you're selling that is recurring or pays well, it doesn't matter if only a few people watch it, if it is an absolute bullseye piece of content that finds you the buyer. But on my surf channel, I actually want quite a lot of volume. So I'm trying to find videos that will be getting more reach because my model is more related to reach, influence, and advertising revenue, because I want to create an asset that's saleable at some point with the website itself. So can we just speak to the goals question for a moment there? What should our strategy be depending on if our goal is advertising versus selling something off your channel?
Yeah, it's really important. That's probably like the first step that anyone should start with, and that I would start with any clients. And if you're looking for, like you said, growing a channel that has a big subscriber base, heaps of views, then the topics are going to have to be broad and applicable to a lot of people. But it doesn't just stop there. The video also has to be appealing and somewhat entertaining and worth watching for a lot of people. However, if it's quite different, if you just want to post content there so that people can go to the channel and watch a video about a specific topic, and then they'll watch the next video about a closely related topic and another video, and they've just spent maybe 30 to 60 minutes with you. Now they're booking a call and now they want to chat to you. You don't need a lot of views for that. You just need the right views. And that's where it can take a bit of time to test and figure out, okay, well, these topics aren't getting me clicks or bookings, but these ones are. And then that's when you really need to just be, I say it's being stubborn, like just making videos that work and ignoring all the bullshit from everyone else who says, oh, you got to make videos about this and this. And like, no, you don't. Almost all my last 20 videos are almost exactly the same. I just change the way I deliver the concepts, or maybe I split this topic into 3 talking points instead of 1, or I talk a bit faster, or I give different analogies. It's all the same message because it worked. And I'm not going to go make videos about how to be a power lifter or how to be a bodybuilder or how to, what's the perfect diet, because that didn't work for me. But what did work is sticking to core theme and a core, what do I call it? Like scope of topic that keeps bringing back the same people. And I know it's the same people because there's commenting the same things every time on the video, and it's leading to sales and it's leading to applications for coaching. So just stick to that. And now it's a bit boring. I would love to go off topic and talk about, hey guys, here's what I eat every morning, but no one gives a shit about that. That doesn't get any sales. It doesn't do nothing.
Gets volume, and then the info marketer can sell the YouTube channel course. But it's smoke and mirrors.
Well, yeah, and that's right. And it comes back to what you were saying before, like I'm telling people how to grow their channel. Like, is my channel growing? And I can prove that it is, because if I showed you the numbers, you would see the chart going upwards, you would see sales, you would see ad revenue, you'd see one-on-one applications. And all it takes is like 1 or 2 good videos to raise the whole channel. And that's what's happened to me. Like I was getting 1,000 to 3,000 views. Now I'm getting 10,000 to 200,000 views. And the subscriber base is really small. And now that's bringing an extra income, which covers all the cost of the editors. So I'm not out of pocket for full-time editors. I've got 2 editors working with me at the moment. And there's sales coming through. So I actually turned my ads off because the people who are coming from the YouTube videos are already warmed up. They've already watched 2 or 3 videos. They land on the page and they just buy the product. Even though my landing page kind of sucks, they're still buying it anyway and the conversion's good. So I was like, what's the point of running ads and losing money every week when I can just put out a video that pays for itself and brings in all this extra money?
Should you therefore run ads to your YouTube videos?
Well, that's the next thing. But right now, it's like, I can't have my fingers in all the pies.
So most of what we're talking about today is organic,
yeah,
right?
all organic. I'm not an ad person. I've never cracked ads.
And so for the indicators for me, one of the questions I ask people when they join my membership is, why are you here? Like, what caused you to join? Often they say, I watched your podcast episode or your video about recurring income or about membership model, or you're talking about AI and how you're using it, and I want to learn how to do that too. And it's often directly related to a topic that I publish. For me, the thing that I took from the surf channel back to the business channel is what you just said. When you find your thing, stick closely to it. On the surf channel, we found a topic that pretty much always works for me. We allowed ourselves a small experimentation. We found another type of series that seems to work for me. And we've tested a few things that didn't work. Mostly they're my ideas that I want to try and they don't work.
You got to try them anyway.
Get creative.
Yeah.
It's worth, now I can die knowing that idea sucks. But, it's a creative risk to try things. And it's very clear, like there's absolute trends. So for me on the surf channel, if I cover fins, I'm going to get more interactions. If I cover a series where I cover multiple versions of something in the same category, that gets traction. If I do a solo video of a fairly obscure thing, that's going to drop down the traction. So I'm leaning into market trends. If I pick a board, for example, that almost everyone has or has seen in a surf shop, it gets way more interaction because it's known and popular.
Yeah.
Now on my business channel, I take most of the seed ideas from my paid mentorship calls. Every time I hang up from those calls, my AI note keeper sends me the transcript bullet points, and I use that as part of my ideation for generating a script. Now, the thing that you've brought to me is the same thing you've done with your fitness and weight loss clients, is structure. I don't make a video unless it's got structure, and that process might be something worth talking about, but a quick recap where we're up to. So first thing we can look at is how many views are we getting in relation to our subscriber base. If we're getting way less views than our subscriber base, that could be showing us that our content's not that good. The type of people who are going to experience that are probably people who just recycle something else, like they just pop up a webinar or a podcast without any thought to it. Just sticking on YouTube isn't going to work. If I'm going to put a podcast on YouTube, I'm going to put it through a YouTube framework first and then make the podcast fit YouTube, and then it'll automatically be okay for Apple and Spotify. The other thing we discussed is the goal of what you're trying to do. It might not just be to have the most views. It might be to have lots of views from the right type of buyer and to have them do a thing that you want them to do. And then we've talked about the fact that mostly we're talking about organic growth on this particular episode. So that being the case, what next?
What next? Well, I think there's a lot of things I've learned and that you've learned that we couldn't have learned if we didn't put the repetitions in. And it's awesome, but it's also kind of annoying because I wish I had known all this when I started, but I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't started and gone through the pain. And it really, like, I've heard a lot of YouTube gurus say, like, you've got to commit like 3 years to YouTube to really nail it. And that's not a lie. Like, it really is a thing. So if you're just throwing up content and dumping it on there, then it's just going to be a dump of content. If you, and you've probably seen this happen too, where this whole thing about if I just batch all my content and then make 10 videos in one day, and then I've got 10 weeks of content, it's going to build, it's not going to do anything. You're just putting up 10 shitty bits of content. If you just spent an extra 60 minutes, you could have polished all of it and had it performing way better.
But those people are selling courses or training on the whole idea of syndication, which, for the record, I've been teaching for about 16 years now. I used to call it the octopus method, but content syndication was big, especially before AI. But now it's not a fresh or innovative idea to take your video and cut it into little shorts and get to socials and send out the, been doing that forever. But now where I've been getting the gains is putting way more structure into the content, setting it up properly, to the point where there's this really rubs the most against creative people. I've had guests before where I've structured it and they wanted to be more free-ranging organic discussion, and they felt like it was a bit too partitioned. I'm like, well, what I want is a podcast that actually achieves the goal for the audience and for the show, and it's not just an artistic cup of glass of wine discussion that doesn't actually lead to anything, because those things typically they don't really get much traction on YouTube either.
No, unless you're Joe Rogan and you bring it on like something like that.
Yeah, but even on the Joe Rogan show, I imagine he's got an agenda for the podcast that he's doing. He would have done research. Yep. He's most likely got some questions he's keen to ask. There'll be rambling discussions, but they're very long, and that's a different type of podcast. And they're also in a studio, which lends itself more to that setup than, in person with the guest is a different type of podcast than what I'm achieving with my production levels. Actually, while we're on that, in terms of the structure, whatever, it could actually be helpful for people to hear about the way that you plan and prepare and implement your YouTube video. Like, what does it look like for you now? Because I know I've made some changes to that even since the last time we talked about it, which have had some pretty positive results and have implications for me. But how do you set out? Do you think, well, I'm just going to make another version of that last one, but I'll do it with a different metaphor? Or do you have some other thought process, creative process?
Yeah, it's all become quite automatic. So I'm like trying to think about what I actually do, but I start with what's worked. So I look at my top videos and maybe the most recent one. And I think, okay, well, of the last bunch of videos, which ones performed best? Is there anything that's hot right now? So I've got my own research list of maybe 15 different channels, some of them popular, some of them nobody even knows about. And I just scan through and I look for patterns, people using this title pattern or a thumbnail pattern, or is there something seasonal? Is everyone talking about something specific that I could leverage? So it's kind of like the ideation phase, what's worked, what's happening right now. And then what's been helping is working with like ChatGPT for a long time now in priming that. So I'll take my best titles and I'll put it in, and then I'll give it my ideas, so another 10 titles that I've come up with, and I'll say, just analyze all this. Here's what's worked. These ones didn't work. Here's my next list of ideas. Can you rank these based on the eyes of my ideal client? So I've already primed ChatGPT with who my ideal client is. I'll say, rank all these titles from most curious, most emotionally hitting, something that's going to meet them right where they're at today. And then it'll do its thing and it'll come back and it'll rank them almost in a chart format. And I'll look at the top 3 and I'll go, of the top 3, which one can I make like right now that I feel good about, that I know I can deliver on? And I'll just run with that. And that's kind of been my filtering process. That's the very pointy end. And then it goes to scripting. So that all makes sense so far?
It does. And I'll chime in with where I'm coming out with my process for my business channel. I take the transcripts of my business calls and say, look through these calls. I might dump 20 of them in a row. I'll just paste them into a document. I'll load them into Notebook LM and I'll say, go through these transcripts, look for patterns and categories and list them into potential episode outlines for my podcast. And it will actually categorize them. And like some of the last ones I did were out of that process. It just, because I'm talking about the same stuff over and over again in my mentor groups, and it then puts them into categories. And then I'll take it over to my script maker, which will be same sort of thing. It already knows my client avatar. It knows my product that I sell. It knows what results I've been able to get for people, and then it will put it into an outline. Where it gets interesting is for the surf brand, it's a different situation because it's not just an idea. It's now we're dealing with hardware and physical products. So there's other constraints like what inventory do I have in stock right now? What conditions are around that I can actually go and get GoPro footage with them, and what things are popular or trendy? Who sent me like the latest batch of fins? Which boards are they going to go on? Like the script for my Blink Surf channel, the script maker, is a separate project because it needs to make product demonstration style scripts like B-roll scanning across surfboard or thumbnail image holding 2 different surfboards for comparison. It's very different than an idea of talking about AI or YouTube video success, right? So that's my process for each of those channels. It's different. And I say that because some people here would have e-commerce stores and the product type videos might be very useful for them. And I know this because the manufacturers of the products that I put in my videos often reach out to me. They ask if they can use some of the footage. They send me equipment. They collaborate. They're sharing the content when I post it on other platforms like Instagram. They'll also collab and put it in front of their audience. And it's really starting to take off, which is super exciting. But I know that people who sell physical things, this style works well, whatever we've been doing. And we'll talk more about the production process next, I suppose. You've got your script to record. Is that where you're up to?
Yeah. I guess we've talked about ideation, which I would argue is the most important thing, because there is no point investing 10 hours or whatever it is into a video if you haven't spent 30 minutes just dialing in what it is that people are going to click on.
That's the same with Gary Bensavinga, the copywriter. He says like you should spend 7 times more than any other copywriter doing your research.
Yep.
It's this part I think that almost everyone skips.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've got this great idea, or I should do this, or someone else did this, I'll do this. You know, someone's doing a floss on TikTok, I'll do a floss on, like, the ideation part. So in the hierarchy, what is it? The big idea, and then is it the thumbnail or the hook or somewhere, or the title somewhere in there?
The idea isn't the title. I would say the idea is just getting really clear on what the broader topic is.
What's the point of this video?
Like the premise of the video. And then you can look into the titles, because you can get really creative with titles. But you often don't need to. It's better just to kind of say it straight with a flair of curiosity to it that isn't obscure and hard to read and hard to look at. Like my best video is like everything I wish I knew before I lost belly fat. Very, very simple, but that's just taken off. But it's starting with that idea, which led to then the script. Now, this is the way I do it. I don't really know what other people do. I just do what worked for me. So once I've got my idea and my title, it's scripting time. The first thing I'll do is get really clear on all the talking points. So if I'm going to have 10, 5, 7, however many talking points, talking point is just something that needs to be in the video. The content you're delivering, and I'll get really clear on, like, brainstorm 20 of them, and I'll pick out the best ones, and then I'll structure them so that it starts and it flows. I'm not playing hopscotch or pinball across different topics. It's flowing.
It's easier to edit later too, right?
Yeah.
In order.
Yeah, like getting it structured nicely so that the first thing I talk about flows to the second, and I can keep putting in open loops to connect it all together. And that also helps with the call to actions, because then you know where to insert your soft call to actions and your hard call to actions. Once I've got talking points done, then I'll do the intro, because then I know what I'm talking about. So the intro is all about the hook, the getting them invested, the setup, and then opening that loop and just going straight into the talking point. And what I've been finding is the shorter and sweeter the intro, the better. Like when I'm doing 40-second intros, the drop off is huge. 30 seconds a bit better. 15 to 20 seconds has been my best. Because the more you constrain it, the more you have to focus on saying what is only absolutely necessary to get the point across and then moving on. And the way I like to think about it is, if you're watching a Netflix show and there's like a scene where the camera is just sitting there on the same angle for like 30 seconds, you're going to think there's something wrong. You're going to be like, did the producers and the directors screw this up? Is there an error? It's a bit awkward. So that doesn't mean you have to have different camera angles. It's just a metaphor for, like, don't repeat yourself twice. Don't use 10 words to say something you could have said in 3. Like, I could start off a video and be like, hey guys, my name's Zac, and I really got to talk about this topic because it's super important and I experienced this for 10 years and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or I could just be like, guys really struggle with losing belly fat once they get to 20%. Full stop. Move on. I don't have to labor it for 30 seconds. Like, just 3 seconds. But next thing.
So keep it short.
Yeah. Well,
so for something like this episode, it might be YouTube gurus will tell you have to do this and that to be famous on YouTube or to get great results. Today, we're going to discover from smaller creators how they're getting big results by doing pretty much everything they tell you not to. Something like that.
Yeah, like that's short and sweet. You could probably cut that down by another 30%.
Cut it down even more. And then, but it's basically a setup. You have to set the stakes, right? And then they have to be interested in listening to it.
Yeah, and less is more.
You have a crack at this episode. What's the hook?
What's the hook so far? I normally spend a lot of time on this, so you're putting me on the spot.
You get no time.
I would be like, you know, big profits and big views from tiny channels. It's simpler than you think. Something like that. It's almost borderline cheesy and corny, but like that's what people. So it'd be like,
if you want to succeed on YouTube, but you're concerned your channel's too small. Today, I'm going to shatter all the illusions about why you have to be a big player.
Yeah, something like that would be good.
But yours is better.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hook, you put a lot of time and effort into the hook, right? I don't make a video for the surf channel unless I send you the hook and you fix it and then I have it and I have to say it word for word. That's how we work.
Yeah.
Because that drop off at the beginning of the video is like everything, isn't it? If they stay, YouTube's more likely to show it to more people is the way that I interpret that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the more views you get, the more that chart's going to drop off because as the views increase, the audience increases, which means it's now showing your video to people who aren't as keen but are still going to watch it. So the drop off's going to be higher. But you can see trends like it shows you the 30-second mark, the percentage of people. And if you're getting above 70%, that's pretty good.
So basically, the big idea is there.
Yep.
The title is very important.
Or a bunch of titles. Yeah.
And then the hook is what sells them watching the video. And that's like that's the 80-20 of the actual scripting is the hook, right? It's like put all your attention and effort there.
I would, because all the talking points are going to follow a similar structure. And it's just about delivering it without overstating it. So it's like if you're having a conversation, it's like, could you have cut that in half and still had the same message? If the answer is yes, then do that because people aren't stupid. Their brains are hearing you. They're hearing your tone. They can pick up what you're trying to say before you say it. And that's where you also have to play some, what do you call it? I don't know the right word for it, but you have to play that copywriter mode where you don't give everything up front. Like,
yep.
As
soon as you deliver the payoff, they're gone, right?
Not necessarily, but it's less interesting. It'd be like if you sat down to watch a movie and you sit down to watch Dune. I just love Dune, or The Matrix, whatever it is, and straight away you find out that what's going to happen to Neo in the first minute. You're like, oh, wait, hang on. So I'm going to sit here for 2 hours and see that Neo already makes it through and plugs himself.
So there's no tension or drama.
Yeah,
it's like one of the recent videos that went well for me. It showed actually my daughter was in the garage walking past a surfboard and she stopped and she looked at the fins on the surfboard and she said, "These fins look weird." And so I said, "Can you do that again?" And I filmed her with my iPhone and I put that as the first part of the video. And so the first part of the video is her saying, "These fins look weird." And it shows this very unusual looking fin. And then I come in onto the script and I say, "She's right." And then I talk about, like, you've probably seen these around and you possibly wondered, do they actually work? And then that was like, okay, so now people want to stick around to find out if they do work or not, because clearly that's what I'm going to talk about in the video, and they do. And that was a sort of a two different types of weird fins showdown between the two different weird fins with an unexpected outcome. And both manufacturers contacted me and liked the video, and it was really cool. But the hook was quite a natural. She said what surfers are thinking. I mean, she's surrounded by surfing equipment her entire life. Like, you put a board down to wax it, she'll be running all over it. And so for her to comment, "Oh, these fins look really weird," she's like tuned into what surfers would be thinking.
Yeah. And that also is a pattern interrupt because sometimes you click a video and you don't know what to expect, but you often don't expect a little child to be saying something like that. So that's a good.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah, like that was packaged up really well. Like the thumbnail was tight,
and the package on that, and we'll get into the production thing. This is where I've been able to experiment and have a big win. Let's talk about the way that you make the video, because people always want to. Well, they always want to know what camera, right? That's the big one. What camera do you use? There's a little bit more than the camera, but I'll talk about my process and equipment for each channel because it's quite different. But how do you record the video? Do you sit right where you are there and talk, or are you doing it out on the gym equipment, or what?
Yeah, this is what you see is what it is.
So you're not out there making smoothies in the kitchen or doing weights on the bench or anything?
I have tried that and it didn't make any difference to the video. So I thought, why am I going to go spend 2 hours, hooking up?
So it makes your production so easy.
Yeah, that's right. So
And do you use a teleprompter or do you just talk?
Well, I guess I use a teleprompter, but not an official one. So I have, like right now I've got my camera here, but this is in front of two screens. So I have my Google Doc right next to the camera and I'll just read line for line, which isn't.
This is how I used to do it. I used to have a laptop or a whiteboard or Post-it notes behind the camera, but now I've got a teleprompter. Everyone always asks me, what teleprompter do you use? I'll put a link in the show notes, but I got onto this one from Justin Brown, who I was mentoring for a while there, and it's an Elgato teleprompter. It's so good that I think I've recommended it to a dozen people and they've all come back and said, unbelievable. But it just sits over the camera. So it's a monitor reflecting into a mirror right there. So I can put up the episode notes. I could basically read a script very naturally from that teleprompter. And I was resisting teleprompters for the first 15 years, but I can tell you, as someone who can actually wing it and is quite comfortable, ad-libbing, the structure that it brings is unbeatable. That's for the business channel, but for the surf channel, different. I'm using a portable camera, a little a DJI actually is all you need. And I use a GoPro in the water, which I've managed to drown a couple. But the DJI in the garage, my wife usually films me, and I have your script printed out. I just pick it up and read the next bit and then put it down, and then I deliver it. And I do it in order so my editor can just stitch it. When I load up the hard drive, I just number the files 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and he stitches it all together. Now, that's how I did do it. It's obviously a bit of a pain. I got to still do the lighting and the sound and the thing. I've got to hold equipment. Hopefully I don't fall over. Like every surfing video creator has had boards fall over, including me, while you're filming. There's a lot of logistics to it. And then I've got to go out in the water. Yeah, I got to film the GoPro stuff. I would sing in my mouth or you pay someone to film you and then he misses your best wave. Like difficult. Or if you want to go drone and stuff, seriously, I'm not at the level where it justifies that. But that would be good, but it's hard. But what I thought I'd do to try it was film B-rolls. So I took the DJI and I went and filmed all the boards, just did it myself. And then I came back here, I loaded up the script on the teleprompter and I did an audio only on my good sound. And I read the script and then I sent the script of the audio and all the B-roll to my team member. And he edited it all up as a video, and it went just as well. And so my process just got much easier if I want. The last few I've done were voiceover B-roll things. I don't think I even appear in them. And that has a few implications. One is the channel's never been about me. It's been more about the brand of the channel, which is ideal if I ever wanted to sell it. It's definitely replicatable by someone else if they want to follow the same style or theme. They could either do it on their own channel or they could buy my brand one day. But also means that there's less logistics for the setup and stuff. So I guess if I'm going to say, anyone watching or listening to this, if you are doing anything to camera and you don't use a teleprompter, consider it. It makes an enormous difference. It's one of the best investments that I've made in the last year to transform my content creation, especially if you combine it with script making and AI. And especially if you have a Zac polishing and fine tuning it to make sure that it's not garbage before you film. Best time to fix stuff is before you film. And Zac, you've killed a few ideas of mine off before I film because you asked me questions. Well, what's the point of this? Why should someone watch it? What are you hoping to achieve? And sometimes I go, yeah, you're right. It's like, why bother?
Yeah. Well, it's just no point unless you're a very artistic person and you would happily make videos that nobody ever watched, this is a business podcast. No one does that. It's all for a reason. So
there are a couple of other tools in the toolkit too, like take the top 10 thumbnails and see, or top 10 videos in my channel, and I check the thumbnails and titles. Turns out there's a pattern there. So we just do more of that, combining that with the thumbnail split test, which is now built into YouTube. We are using that on our videos, and there's just different schools of thought here. Some say just put one and let it run and then add another one. Others say start with 2 or 3 minimum at the beginning. What's your current view on that?
What's been working best for me is I start with 3, and so this is my own format. I'll have 3 different thumbnails, but they all have the same text. So if I have a text where it's like, no one told me this, and then 3 different pictures, then I know which picture worked best. Now I've got the best picture, and then I'll do a second round once I've had like a couple of thousand views, another round of thumbnail testing, but then I'll keep the same picture 3 times, but I'll change the text 3 times. So same picture, no one told me this, I wish I knew this sucks, or whatever, like just 3 different text variations. then I'll have best picture, best text for that video, and then I'll kind of leave it alone. By then it's good. But for new channels starting out, you do have to just test different stuff and not think that you know, because it's always going to be the thumbnail that you thought was the best, which did horribly, and the one that you thought was crap does the best. So like, just take all of the opinions off it and just be curious. Like, if I put 3 different thumbnails, which one's going to win? And then second video, you use the same winning one and you do 3 variations of that. And then third, you just keep like rinse, repeat, and you get, and once you've done this 20 times, it's like going to the gym 20 times. You're going to know how to bench press. You're going to know how to do a chin up. Like, it just becomes second nature, and you have a what do you call it? Like a intuition, like, that probably won't work. I'm going to test it anyway. And then you're like, oh, I was right. This one's good. And this feedback loop is what fuels the growth over long term.
Well, that's what I've asked my team. Every time we get a thumbnail test result, we publish it back in our publishing channel, and we interpret what we think's happening there. Some of our thumbnails, like, it's almost line ball and it can't even separate it statistically. Other ones will be a difference between 30% or 60% click through. They're so vastly different that it's worth understanding what happened there and putting it back in. And of course, we're running a business channel and the surf channel at the same time. We're getting very different types of results from that. But the surf one has a very clear formula that works for us every single time, that we keep using because it works for us every single time, and it's also really easy to make. So that's been good. Once you've recorded it, then obviously there's various elements of teams. Some people are going to do this themselves. Other people have a team like me. You've got a couple of editors you mentioned. Who's doing the thumbnails? Do you send that off somewhere, or do you do it yourself?
Currently, I'm doing it myself, just because the style that's working takes me 30 minutes to do, and it would take me longer to explain to someone what to do, and then I have to check it 5 times, and I'm going to want to punch myself in the face. So,
and you've got a bit of arty skill too.
Yeah, I've been doing Photoshop for 16 years. Like, I enjoy it. It's like fun.
What about someone who doesn't do it? They're not going to be able to use Mr. Beast's new AI tool, the thumbnail tool, right? And what lasted a day or something got shut down.
Yeah, you could just do the AI thing and say, put me on this. But what I would do, what I teach, is to do the research. So we look at I call them competitor channels, but there's no such thing as competitors. Everyone's in the same market. What's currently working? And then is there other niches that you could take inspiration from and put your own flair to it? And if you just take proven thumbnails, you have a much higher success rate, but that doesn't mean your video is going to blow up. It may take you 10 variations of a proven thumbnail to get your own flavor that people haven't seen, that maybe the font's different, maybe just the way you structure your face and something, whatever you're showing, it just hits differently and grabs people's eye. But I would always start with what's proven, and then over time you just keep trimming the edges until you get it right.
But how do they get someone to do the thumbnail?
Oh, good question. So we sort of find a thumbnail designer, Upwork.
Right. Is it the same with editors? Upwork?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's just like hiring anyone. Like, you could jump on. I probably wouldn't use Fiverr, because they're going to be pretty crappy. I would say Upwork, looking for a designer who's got a proven history of thumbnails. But the thing is, these people don't live in our world. So what they think is good is usually trash, just because it's really glossy and has all neon brightness and like someone's face looking
like
shocked.
People who send me shorts they've re-edited of mine to make them amazing, which they're just garbage.
Yeah, like Opus can do that times 100. You just plug it in and press.
Well, that's probably what they're using.
Yeah, so I don't trust the thumbnail designer. Like, go to the channel who they've designed for and look at the videos, because you want thumbnails that aren't just polished. They have to get attention, and they have to make you curious to stop scrolling and read the title. If it's not doing that, if it's just like some polished, glossy AI / silly looking thumbnail like Mr. Beast, but he's already proven that. But if you're trying to copy Mr. Beast, it's not going to work.
He could probably do anything and get a lot of views, right?
You could take a selfie on the toilet, it's going to get 50 million views. Like, it doesn't matter for him. But you got to like read between the lines a little bit, and don't be naive and just think, oh yeah, if I just put 15 words in the thumbnail and me standing there with my thumb up with my mouth open looking
Most
shocked.
people put the title in the thumbnail, which is a no-no, right?
I would say it's a no-no because people aren't that silly. Like they can read. They don't have to read the same thing twice. It doesn't really.
Yeah, it's like, and it's probably the number one thing I see when I'm looking at someone's channel. It's dog shit. It's like crappy thumbnails. They all just say the title. There's no compelling reason why anyone would watch any of them. And it should be obvious, but it's not. And I'm probably talking about my own old channel. You should look back at your old work and cringe.
Me too.
I could definitely do that, right?
Yeah, my videos from years ago were this same format.
Yeah,
gross.
So we're getting more evolved.
Yeah.
How much would you pay for thumbnails?
Well, I think what's a reasonable price might be somewhere between $40 to $60 for someone who's pretty good at it. Like you should be able to get 2 or 3 thumbnails with a.
And how much do you have to pay for an edit?
Well, again, depends on quality. So if you want heaps of animations and like really high tech fancy stuff, be prepared to pay in the hundreds. If you're happy with very simple edits like talking head style with just B-roll and like swipes and animated text, between $100 to $200 is pretty fair. Less than 100, you're just going to get unreliable kids who are like, yes, I'll get it done, please, sir. And then that never gets done. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, you're still going, what the hell? So
yeah, and look, and those kids could be in any country, by the way.
Such as
could be your next door neighbour who's handy on the computer, right?
Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, yeah.
Well, there seems to be a lot of suppliers in some of those regions online. I get a lot of phone calls from a domain I registered like 15 years ago. I still get calls almost every day for that one.
Yeah.
So that's a quick recap. We've probably got someone to the point where they're publishing a video now. They've come up with a big idea. They have thought about titles using that process you talked about. They've done some research, come up with a thumbnail. They've scripted it out. They've opened up some loops and hooks and made it interesting. They've recorded it. They've got someone to do the thumbnail and the edit. They publish it on the channel. Are there any major considerations we should have with, in this early stage or in this optimization phase?
I'm sure we could find them, but I really just want to say just publish the damn videos because the problem is people aren't posting. They're not posting.
That's it. I think that's it. You work with some people from your business, VidSurface.com. Sometimes there's a big delay between when you have the planning session and when they actually implement. What do you think is causing that?
It could be all different kinds of reasons. It could just be overwhelm, or it could be thinking that it needs to be perfect, or that they want to do it themselves, but they're waiting for the perfect time to do it when they should have just outsourced it to an editor or a designer. I think everyone approaches their channel differently and they have these expectations that it has to be a certain way, but it really is like the market or the platform is telling you what it wants, but you're not giving it anything. Like give it trash and then it's trash. Yeah, and then polish the trash and then it's a bit better. Like just start. But if you're posting once every 6 months, you may as well just not bother because you're not going to get enough data.
If we want to get help from you, Zac, what's the best way to do that?
I would start at the website, grab the ebook just so you know what to expect. You understand my framework.
It's VidSurface.com.
Yep. And then from there, there's other options. You can work one-to-one, or obviously I have the membership, the 6-month packaging mastermind where we pretty much do what we've been doing with your channel for the last 2 years.
And I appreciate it. My viewers appreciate it. My surfboard quiver appreciates it, Zac. You're the real deal. What you told me to do worked. That's why you're on the show. I'm thrilled to bring you to the market and recommend you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you've got questions for Zac or whatever, you could reach out to him. If you've got suggestions for a future episode between us, then just reply to any of my emails and we'll get it up there. This episode's 11:31 on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We'll speak to you next time, Zac.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
James Schramko here. Welcome back to my podcast. This is episode 1000. Actually, I don't even know what number it is. Let me just check that. Look at this. Too many episodes.
Too many to count.
Yeah, I thought so. All right.
This is James Schramko.